Hey everybody, and welcome back to my gradient mesh tutorial where we draw this face realistically. Last episode we left off with about to start drawing the internal details of the eye layer that we just basically completed. We have not blended this eye layer with our eye layer that is behind it yet. We are currently just working on our top layer right now, and then we're going to worry about working outward from there. I hid that before, so I just brought it back. What we need to do is start giving a general tonality to this eye layer, or this eye in general. So by doing that, let me get my image back. I'm actually going to hide this by hitting Control 3 right now. I just want it out of my way right now. It's not gone. I can bring it back at any time by hitting Object Show All or Control Alt 3. And Control 3 is to hide the object. Control 2 is to lock the object, but in this case I'm just going to hide it. I want to just grab a few tones, a few swatches from my eye here. So I just want to get this like lighter teal blue here. I'm going to make a swatch, and then I'm going to get maybe like this purple, make a new swatch, and this kind of gold color is fine too. And I think that's enough. Let's go to my mesh, and I'm just going to add maybe a point, maybe here, here. You know, I'm going to keep it fairly simple. And then I'll do a little bit of blending cleanup. But I think something like that is perfectly fine. And I'm going to make sure the edges are really tight, because I'm going to do some blending to the edges to the actual eye layer to give it a little bit of a feathered look, because I don't want it to have a sharp edge. I want it to be feathered to the eye. Alright, so that's pretty much my mesh. I'm going to leave it like that right now, but I'm actually going to draw inside this mesh, because we also want this pupil to be feathered. See how it's kind of like a blend? It's not like a sharp line. I'm going to need to create that. So I'm going to make my mesh points, and I'm going to start building my boundary of this pupil. I'm going to take our caret so we can mess with the lines individually. We could just start shaping the pupil. Alright, so that's looking pretty solid. Let me add a point right here, so we can get these points up in here. Doesn't need to be a perfect circle, as long as you can't tell it's not a perfect circle from normal viewing distance. Obviously we want to do the best we can, but I don't want to spend 3 hours trying to get a perfect circle here inside my mesh, because it's going to look fine. Nor do I think your pupil is probably a perfect circle anyway. So we're going to go... Alright, so now that I have the boundary here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a point on this side so I can have a sharp change of color from here to here. And I'm going to add a point right here, similar to what I just did. And I'm going to add another point right here. And you can see the shape we're building around the pupil. You can see how it kind of looks like almost like a little alien spider, or maybe like a little throwing star or something. But it's got this shape that's consistent throughout, this diamond shape. And that's going to keep this color bounded in a nice feathered way. I'm also going to add just a few more points inside. They're all going to be the same color, but I just want there to be less variation from the middle to the edge. I want the variation from the edge to the inside of the pupil to start closer to the edge, so that's why I'm adding these points. It's going to give it a little bit more of a sharper look. So that's what my general eye mesh looks like. I'm probably going to leave it like that, so I'm going to just fill in the color right now. I just want to point out that I'm not really going to worry about any points above here, because that's all going to be clipping masked away. We're not going to see any of that. We're pretty much just going to make those points black. Alright, so that's pretty much what we have right now. It's looking pretty decent. But there's, you know, some obvious reasons why we need to fix it. Like we have these weird flares from the diamond shape we want to get rid of. And I'm just going to do some general blending to the eye. So I think that's a pretty solid, you know, place to be on the background layer. It's got a nice tone to it. It's got some color change. It's smooth. It's got the purple, the greens, the blues, a little bit of gold. The pupil's pretty round, and if you zoom out, it looks fairly feathered with the colors surrounding it. So I think it looks overall pretty nice. And this is one shape. So before I go any further, I'm just gonna make a highlight here just so I don't forget this. I have to go back and add more highlights from over here. But I will be adding this highlight right up in here, and I'm gonna feather this just a little bit. Maybe 5 pixels, 3 pixels, 3 pixels. So very big difference with that highlight, right? But let's go back and add the other ones. I'm actually going to save this graphic style so I don't have to repeat myself later. So I can always just apply it to a white feather. I can always just quickly apply this feather. So if I hide this and I make this shape now that I have the graphic style, I'm going to just Pathfinder this together. I can just apply the graphic style. It would feather automatically for me. Just like that. Looking great. Alright, so I'm going to clipping mask my drawing here of this eye now. And by clipping mask, I mean I'm going to basically, without deleting it or erasing it, I'm going to bound it within this line here, because that's where it needs to hide. It needs to hide in this eye socket line. So if I unhide this and I use my outline so I can see what I'm doing, I'm going to take my pen tool and I'm going to draw my own line just about where I think it's going to line up. So about like, I would say about like that, right? So I'm just going to close this shape off. We're going to go around the eye. So then let me unhide the outline here. So this is what it looks like now. This is my eye, and then this is my shape that I just drew. So I'm going to hit this shape. I'm going to hold down Shift and click this shape. This is using my group selection tool, my regular selection tool. And I'm going to hit Control 7. And that's going to clipping mask now. It's going to make a clipping mask of, actually let me make sure I have my highlight selected. So I'm going to hide this. I'm going to group this with this by hitting Control G. I'm going to unhide that layer, and then I'm going to remask. And then that's going to give me what I'm looking for. Now it's not perfect over here, but we can fix the mask just so we line up correctly. I actually have to move the curve here. I might even, I'm going to add a point on the mask like this. So now on the mask, I can grab this point, bring it in, fixed it a little bit. Now we have a new source of, a new anchor point, new source. Now we have a new source to edit the clipping mask from. So that's looking pretty good. Now I think the only thing I need to do is take the color within here by hitting, I'm using the direct selection tool still, and I'm going to take all this color, anywhere that we go above, you know, or close to the clipping mask. Why is that doing that? I just want to select the points that are on the edge of the clipping mask so I can match the color. I think I'm accidentally selecting that. I'm going to source the color right from the eyelid here. I'm actually going to lock this thing. This thing is getting in my way. I'm actually going to move these points in. Try and get them closer onto this line here. So I'm going to go around and start blending the edge of this eye now to the white part. I don't know the name. I'm not a biologist. But I'm going to try and get that feathered look by matching the color on the edge. Sorry I haven't been talking too much on this episode, but I'm really just trying to focus on getting my color right. You did see how I made this mesh. I followed all my lines. I bounded all my shapes. And because I bounded all my shapes, you can see that we have results of a nice clean pupil, a smooth background to work with. And now I'm working the edge. I'm working to basically get that feathered look. I can also drop opacity, and I probably will, but let me first get this color down right. I have to make sure my color is matched at the edge. Just going to add a point here just for edge coloring purposes. I'm not going to actually manipulate any other point on that line. I'm going to add one here too. Alright, so I think it's looking pretty smooth on the edge now. Definitely less harsh than before, but I think now to top it off, I'm going to have to take these points on the edge and maybe drop the opacity by 50% and see what happens to really get that smooth look. It's a little too harsh still. I'm trying to get that really nice feather. I'm actually going to add a point right over here because I want there to be more transparency right here, and I have nothing until over here, and I don't really need to drop the transparency on these points. I need it to drop over here, so I need to add points to get a better resemblance over in this corner. I might even drop this by 100 in this corner. I think I need another point too. I think I need another point right here. Drop that to 50%. And maybe one more point right here. I'm gonna add one more bounding point here. I think the tan is from the opacity is moving too fast into the eye. So I'm gonna bring back these percentages on the inner layer here because I'm not really liking it, because now I have a boundary to keep that color locked in. I might drop this one. Maybe not, maybe this one. No. I mean, it looks good. I think maybe this is because it's purple. I mean, yeah, that's looking good. Let's unlock and show everything. Let's give it a save too, so we don't lose all this that we just worked so hard to get. And that is looking clean. It's just got no eyelashes or any other extra detail, but I mean, it looks good. What I do need to change is I need to get rid of this highlight here. I don't know why This highlight is there. Let me see what it looks like underneath. Let me lock my previous eye layer I was working on to get to my old one, and let's fix this color. Alright, so now I'm going to go back into my top layer, and I'm going to go to the edge. And I'm just going to do a quick color match. And I'm actually going to work this edge soon. So that looks even better now that I just did that. And I think the only thing I need to do is take the opacities and maybe see if I could drop them 50% or 100% on the edges. That's really going to make this edge come to life. I'm going to do 100%. Or 0%, I mean. And you could really just see how smooth it's getting with that opacity drop. You're completely losing that hard edge and that transition. It's really awesome to see. So before I'm finished with the opacity around the edges, it looks freaking awesome. But you can, if you go around the whole entire edge and drop 0% opacity on all the edge points, you can see if you missed anything very clearly. So you can see that this is 0% opacity, and then this is 100%. So let me just zoom in some more. If you look for these edges, you can know if you missed any spots. But let me just finish up this really quick. So that's with 0% opacity around the entire edge of those points, and let me just say, I cannot even tell you I see any hard edges at all. It looks really, really smooth. Let me just bring back everything in now, and that is what we have right now. That looks really good. Let me just save it as we are right here. And I mean, the eye still needs to be worked. We still need the details, and the eyebrow is going to really make it come back to life. But we need the eyelashes, we need the dimension in the eye, and what else do we need? That might be it. Eye dimension and eyelashes. That's really all we're missing. Maybe also a little less sharpness on this part of the eye, but I mean, someone who didn't see the original image wouldn't even know, so. Yeah, maybe just a little bit more of a gradual change over here. I have to move these edge points in. Give it more of a smoother transition. The transition takes longer. So I think those edits actually, I mean, although I'm making the points a little bit sloppy, I also think those edits were pretty decent and worthy of doing. I thought it gave the eye a little bit more of, I think it looks a little bit more crystal. Maybe a little bit more work over here, and I think I'm going to leave it. The only thing I don't like now that I point out is maybe the tone of like this spot right here. I don't know what this is. I'm gonna lock this bad boy so I can work. I see this little highlight here, and I think that's coming from, yeah, it's coming from these points that are just hidden under. Maybe I gotta add a boundary point right here to lock this color in. Come on. There we go. So now maybe I can make this that brown. Let me go unlock this. Let me see what color I can make this now. Yeah, that's good. Match that brown. Nah, I don't like that actually. Let's leave it like that. Alright, so I didn't get as far as I wanted to in this episode, but I am going to come to a close on it. I would say that we finished basically the core part of the eye, blending the eye with the main layer. And all I got to do is add the dimension. We're going to draw the dimension in the eyeball next, and then we're going to focus on doing the eyelashes. I'm going to try, I think, the eyelashes by drawing them by hand first, but with like vector pen tool, and just get every finite detail I see. If that doesn't work, I might try using some brush stroke, some hair brush stroke, and then kind of moving with the flow of the mascara and the eyelashes themselves. But nonetheless, that's gonna be left up for the next episode. So I really appreciate you watching, and please like, comment, and subscribe if you're enjoying this tutorial. I am working very hard on this tutorial, and I hope it becomes some sort of value to the internet or whoever who watches, whether you're a robot or a human. Good luck to you on drawing this. My name is Mark DiMattei. You can find me on the internet on Instagram at markedarts. That's MARKD_ARTS. And I'll see you on the next one.